In this edition of The Lead, we return to the Bellville South House of Horrors with News 24 court and crime journalist Lisalee Solomons. She now reports that 63-year-old Aletta Rose, the murder convict accused of decapitating her Cape Town sister, has been giving court and prison authorities a massive headache. More details on this next.
Remember, a Schedule 6 offence, it's up to the accused to now, present to the court under exceptional circumstances why they should be released on bail. And we know from the previous court appearances, Aletta's, bashing out or lashing out at the courts and refusing to come to court. It doesn't really look good for her. And the magistrate has made notes of this.
Later in the show, we recall the late Manto Tshabalala-Msimang's legacy during the Mbeki era with On This Day in South African History. And in Rauby's Pointless Braai quiz today, and if we must, we'll ask this: what's the nickname of the English Premier League side which were this week crowned champions for the very first time in 22 years? I'll reluctantly give you that answer at the end of the show. My name's Graeme and this is The Lead, and this is the South African story. We're moving to our top story today while we've managed to finally get a gap in our Cape Town court and crime reporter's diary. Thanks, Lisalee Solomons. She's back on The Lead with us. How's it going?
Hello, Graeme. I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, man. Can't complain. Thanks so much for making time for us.
Absolutely.
What a story. It was one of the most listened to episodes inside the Bellville South House of Horrors. If you'd cast your mind back, Lisalee, to March, I got, messages from even some family members, inquiring about the story. People were very interested. Of course, the heinous element of it elicits such strong emotional responses to it. Take us back to March, if we could, just for a moment, and just bring anybody who's perhaps not aware of the story back up to speed with the discovery of the remains of 79-year-old Bellville South resident Constance Scholtz. I mean, the headlines of the time, just unbelievable for the Cape Town context, hey?
It's like something really out of a horror movie, Graeme. So just for our readers, in March, end of March, around about the 20th, news started coming in that a woman was found beheaded inside her Bellville South home. Obviously, I then went to the scene to go and see, what's actually happening, and then found out that the homeowner, Constance Scholtz, was killed allegedly by her own sister, Aletta Rose. She was beheaded and dismembered with parts of her body parts found inside the very home that she's lived at for her entire life.
Yeah, and remember when we spoke, and in your reporting, you illustrated it so brilliantly of how it was down to the neighbors that had noticed something that was amiss here. And it was the curtains that gave it away for somebody to come knocking, right?
Yes, absolutely. So the deceased son, Manto Rose, his mother-in-law lives directly opposite Constance. And she was the one that was discovered, she and the neighbors discovered that day that there was something wrong with the property because Auntie Constance was usually very prim and proper with her curtains, and they were always closed by a certain time. But this specific day, that curtains were not the way that she usually leaves it before she goes to bed. And this prompted the neighbors then to go and find out, hey, what's happening here? Are you okay? Is everything okay inside the house? But they got no response. And then the neighbor called Constance's son to alert him that, they think something's wrong at the house, because not only were the curtains, not properly closed, but the windows were also open, and it was around about very late in the evening. And usually Constance would have all of that sorted by the time it gets to dark. And those were some of the key elements that raised alarm with the neighbors, who then obviously prompted the son to come there. When the son got there, everything just blew out of proportion, because it was then that the son discovered that it was his mom that was inside the house that had just been murdered before he got there. And this prompted the police then to come to the scene, go into the house. At this time, scores of residents had rallied outside of that house to watch the commotion as police officers, it's gruesome, as police officers carried out bags of body parts, with some officers throwing up at what they had discovered inside the house. It was messy, Graeme.
Yeah, unbelievable. And just not something you'd think would also happen in that part of the world. Let's talk about the court proceedings, because I think that's how we're going to catch everybody up in this next installment. In the earliest court appearances, we heard that 63-year-old Rose had a past crime against her name. Do we have a lot more detail to ventilate what that crime was and how much time she spent behind bars for this?
So what we know is as little as what the state knows in this case. So for now, what we only know is that Aletta Rose, who's the accused in this matter, had been convicted of murder in 1996, and she was charged with murder for stabbing to death her brother-in-law. In that murder case, from what we know now, is that she was sentenced in 1997 to 6 years for that murder, but it only served 3 years. Now, what the state is still trying to figure out, and try to get to with regards to that context, is that they're still waiting for information to be brought to them so that they can present it to the court. So there's nothing more regarding that previous conviction, but they did confirm, inside court that she is accused or she did serve time for murder previously.
Sure. Okay. And then initially, correct me if I'm wrong here, Lisalee, she refused her bid to apply for bail. So she's indicated via her legal aid attorney that not only did she didn't want to go, apply for bail, she didn't want to go for a medical evaluation. Is that right? Do we know the reasons why?
Yeah, the second court appearance, she told the court that she did not want to apply for bail because, first of all, she did not have a fixed address, and second of all, she had absolutely no money. That's the word she used. She had no money to pay for bail. She also then, when her legal aid representative at the time approached her and asked if she would be able to be, if she wanted to go for medical evaluation, she flat out refused. She didn't give any reason, nor did the legal aid at the time give a reason to the court as to why she did not want to go. But the state at the time said that it's not up to the state to refer her to an evaluation for medical reasons. It was up to the defense, which is the attorney for the accused, to distinguish if she wants to actually go for that. But we now know that she still refuses to go. She doesn't want to go. She doesn't see the reason to go. And she still told the court that she doesn't want to. She's now, however, told the court that she wants to apply for bail, which is completely different to what she said, in the second appearance, which was last month inside Bellville Magistrates Court.
Yeah. Then by May, you had alerted the news desk here at News 24. Rose had caused this ruckus in Paulsmoor. She was refusing to comply with the guards to be transported to court. What happened here?
Graeme, I kid you not. I mean, you what I'm telling you is like very minor to what it's like being inside court with Aletta Rose. Not only does she have these eyes that are piercing you when you stare at her or when she stares at you, she basically doesn't blink at all. There is just something so, I can't even put it into words, but
like
there's something
unsettling
about her eyes that is just...
unsettling.
It's unsettling, that's the word. She's got unsettling eyes, Graeme, and I think she knows it because when she stares at you, she stares at you for very long, and she makes no shyness about it. But just to go back to your question, so last week she was supposed to be back in court for a third court appearance, where her bail application was supposed to proceed. However, what was supposed to be the start of a bail application was then interrupted when the state told the court that Aletta Rose flat out refused to get into a police truck that had been tasked to go and fetch her at Paulsmoor Prison to bring her to court for her bail application appearance. What we also were told inside court is that when this officer done the roll call, she was there and she was told to get into the vehicle, but she basically caused the words that the state used, she caused such a scene there and then physically attacked the cop. Now, when I tell you that she attacked the cop. I mean, it's really bizarre, because how on earth did she even get that? If you look at this woman, I'm sure Rita saw the photos already that I've taken of her inside court. If you look at her, you see this really frail, elderly woman. You would never think that she would be capable of physically assaulting a police officer.
Yeah, she looks petite. She's quite petite in her frame.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The cop, unfortunately, did not want to speak to the media, but was present at court at the time. However, the magistrate in the matter did not request that he come and explain what happened, because he had already relayed, what happened at court to the state prosecutor, who then relayed it to the court. The magistrate just noted that, she refused to come to court, and that she would then make an appearance hopefully this week, which we now know she did appear in court for her bail application this week.
Yeah, and this appearance this week, it was quite chaotic. She didn't like now that the media's cameras were flashing in her face. Is this the first time that she sort of objected to the media's presence around the criminal dock?
Look, I must admit that in the first few appearances when she came to court and we had flashing cameras and, the media standing literally in front of her, taking her photographs, again, her staring at us blankly, not even giving, two hoots about who's in front of her. She had no objection then. However, what changed between then and now is bizarre, because when she walked into the dock on Tuesday, she came in with the police officer and she stared directly into the direction of where the media was. And her words were, I objected to this, basically meaning that she objected to the media not taking her photos. She didn't want the media there. Also, we were told before court that she didn't want us there. She didn't want anybody taking her photos. She was just very unhappy in court on Tuesday. Tuesday was also supposed to be her continuation of her bail application, but unfortunately, she again caused, raucous inside court, and basically told the court that she wants now new legal representation and wanted someone that can speak her home language, which is Afrikaans. Now, her current legal aid representative do not speak the language that Aletta wants, and therefore Aletta told the court that she refuses to have any consultations or speak to her legal aid representatives until somebody that understands her and speaks her language comes and represents her.
Where does that leave the case now? Because now she wants to apply for bail. Does she have the money to even post bail? And I'm sure the state at this point feels like it has a strong case and would oppose bail.
So you are correct. The state is still flat out refusing to have her released out on bail. During the court appearance of last week, we did also hear that, her son was apparently going to pay the bail. However, yesterday, we heard that the son has now flat out refused to visit his mother in prison. He's also, refused to give her or send her any money to purchase anything at the prison. He has also basically want no communication with her. So where the bail money is going to come from, we don't really know. However, it is the court's status that there is still a bail application pending. Her next court appearance is going to be tomorrow. However, she's going to be appearing from Paulsmoor, because tomorrow will just be the outcome of whether there is going to be someone from legal aid that can represent her in an Afrikaans language, which is why she won't be in court tomorrow. It'll be a very short court appearance tomorrow via Paulsmoor. Tomorrow there will also be the confirmation or clarification on who's going to come on record for her, and then that case will then be postponed to possibly next week, where Aletta is expected to be back in court for the continuation of a bail application. So to answer on the bail application money, Graeme, for now, it's not set as to who was going to pay that bail money, or even if she's going to have the money. Remember, I said previously that I think it was a second court appearance, she indicated to the court that her son had agreed to pay the bail, but now the son obviously does not want anything to do with the mother. I must also stress that if she was to be given bail, Aletta did also indicate that she would be living with the son. However, in yesterday's court appearance, the state indicated that the investigating officer confirmed that the son said he would need to discuss with his wife if Aletta will be able to come and stay there. But there's not been any clarification on whether that has been agreed upon.
Yeah, I'm sure quite a difficult situation behind the scenes that we're just not privy to at this point. I mean, it's important to say at this point, and you've echoed this throughout your reporting since March, Lisalee, is that this is a Schedule 6 offence, which speaks to premeditated murder. It's one of the highest, if not the highest, you'd be charged with in a criminal space in South Africa today. And I mean, that brings with it life behind bars, the prospect of which, right?
Absolutely. And this also doesn't mean that there's going to be a strong possibility that Aletta might even get bail. Because remember, a Schedule 6 offence, it's up to the accused to now, present to the court under exceptional circumstances why they should be released on bail. And we know from the previous court appearances, Aletta's, bashing out or lashing out at the courts and refusing to come to court. It doesn't really look good for her. And the magistrate has made notes of this. But yeah, we still need to enter. We still need to wait and see, what the court outcome will be in regards to that. With regards to the offence itself, she is facing quite a lengthy time in jail as well. But yeah, it's really up to the state and to the defense right now, and up to Aletta, to show the court that she actually really deserves to be out on bail.
Yeah. Okay, and then Connie Scholtz, of course, the victim and the sister of Aletta, her son, Manto Rose, has been now speaking to the media. He hasn't always been forthcoming with the media in the past, I think, but has been sort of giving, short statements here and there. What did he say in relation to Tuesday's appearance this week?
So you are correct. He hasn't really been in court much, but mostly because he feels that it's been very traumatic for his family since the whole ordeal of his mother being murdered in such a horrendous way. He is the only child of Constance. So he was quite also emotional yesterday when he was speaking to the media. But I mean, from what he saw in court, he basically told us that his aunt has absolutely no remorse. He believes his aunt has no remorse for what she has done or what she has done to her sister. He also believes that, all of this delays by Aletta seems to be a delayed tactic. But he, under all of this, he still maintains that the family still believes that they will get justice. And that there is justice for his mother, because he believes that his mother, was murdered in an horrendous way. Nobody deserves to die like that. And he's of the opinion that the courts, the state has a good case, and that they are going to seek to get the justice for the family that the family so desperately wants.
Yeah, the court gallery always seems quite busy. There's a lot of community members there that are interested in the story, eh?
I tell you, Graeme, the people come out in their numbers. And even though there's a lot of people that don't really know, or not a lot of people, but there's some people that are coming to court for the first time for a different matter. The minute they hear about Aletta Rose, the first thing they say is that the woman that cut off that sister's head? Oh, then they quick to sit in the public gallery just to get a glimpse of Aletta, and they are not disappointed because she puts up a show. Let me tell you, she puts up a show, and I can gather also from the community that stayed in the same seat as Constance. I mean, they show up really in their numbers, because I mean they're there for almost every appearance, and they're there not just to show the support for the family, but I think it's more of a community based, a tight knit community based. It happened in their street. They're here to support the family, but they're also here to help and see, justice being served.
Yeah, what a hell of a story, Lisalee. And of course, you've brought us not only the most credible, up-to-date information, sources who've revealed a lot more detail in the story thus far. Of course, it carries such sensitive detail. It's a lot for a journalist to constantly have to bring up every single time in their notebook and to go, I need to tell the story again. It's emotionally taxing sometimes, is it not?
It really is, Graeme, especially, when you have to constantly also bring into context, why we are sitting inside court, and what the reason is we are sitting here as the media, and why this specific court story is so relevant right now. I suppose every time that I have to talk about the fact that the charge sheet in court shows and tells that Aletta, dismembered her sister and beheaded the sister. I mean, those gruesome details already. I don't think we need to go into context, as to what she actually did. But I think it speaks for itself, as to the reader or to the listener. as what she actually did to her sister.
Because there's definitely a line between, if I may add, there's definitely a line between murder porn. Sorry for the use of that term.
That's actually a good word.
Yes, and just straight up journalism and telling the facts, you know what I mean? And obviously you're going to get people that are going to veer towards more the dark side. They want to hear those gruesome details. The Netflix man, sir. Let's
That is so true, Graeme. It really, really is. I mean, I think now for me now, you know, it's the story that must be told. It's a story that's basically gripping our readers a lot and social media a lot these days. People are asking what's happening with Aletta Rose, you know. I mean, I get stopped sometimes and I get asked what's happening with the Aletta case, you know, when is she back in court? It's something that people want to read. And I think, you know, the fact that there's so much willingness and so much engagement from our readers regarding the story, it's become, you know, more of a privilege, if I can put it like that, for me to be the one that's, you know, telling our readers about the story and keeping them informed. And I suppose in a case like this where we are dealing with so much gruesomeness in this case, I think it's become more than a job. It's become a purpose to actually, you know, tell people that, you know, this is why we're here. This is what the family is going through. This is why the story matters. And this is why it's going to continue to matter until we understand, until we get justice for Constance Schultz.
Yeah, absolutely. And I thought I'd just make sort of an aside comment. I mean, if Aletta Rose hypothetically is found guilty at the end of the day here of a second murder, in the South African context, according to the SAPS and previous case precedent, she would thus be considered a serial killer. Is something that an aside that people have been thinking about, or, you know, speaking or preempting for a while. I mean, we have to let these things and the court case to ventilate itself. We have to see what the state brings in terms of evidence. And we've seen, you know, this being an avid court reporter, Lisalee, it's the state's case here is not necessarily sort of signed, sealed, and delivered. DNA evidence, what they're going to, you know, put on the table, or once the bail proceedings are sort of done. That's going to be really the proof in the pudding.
You are absolutely correct, Graeme. And I think I speak on behalf, I don't speak on behalf of everybody else, but I know for me personally, as a journalist, I am waiting with bated breath for that investigating officer to take the stand in this bail application, because that's what he plans on doing. And that's what the state intends on calling, the state intends on calling as the proceedings of the bail application gets underway, is that the detective is first on their list to come to court and to speak about what he found inside that house, Graeme. And he's going to tell some very gruesome things, and some very, I think a lot of our readers are going to be very fascinated and shocked at what he's going to present to the court.
All right. That's Lisalee Solomons. She's our court and crime reporter here at News 24. Thank you so much for bringing us the details of this. And yeah, I can't wait to see what happens next in this intriguing court case. Thanks so much for the time on the lead.
Thank you so much, Graeme. See you guys.
Looking for a smarter weekend scroll? The Weekender is your ultimate guide to bold stories, sharp opinion, and a fresh lens on life in Mzansi. From exclusive interviews and powerful essays to wine picks, playlists, and pop culture gems, it's your perfect weekend read all in one place, landing every Saturday on News 24. And finally,
moving on to our regular segment on this day in South African history, courtesy, of course, the SA History online database. And we cast our minds back to the 20th of May 2002. That's when the then embattled Health Minister Manto Tshabalala-Msimang pledged some 20 million rand to the Global Fund to help fight HIV and AIDS. It was a bold promise during the World Health Assembly in Geneva, when South Africa was facing global criticism for its lagging response to the scourge with its provision of antiretroviral meds to South Africans. In fact, the Mbeki administration only started with handing out free ARVs. By then, due to the delays, government was already blamed for its complicity in causing the premature deaths of thousands of people. Yet, despite her public misadvising on eating certain foods, including beetroot and potato, to help stave off AIDS, Tshabalala-Msimang remained health minister from 1999 to 2008. That's until President Thabo Mbeki was recalled by the ANC, and thus she was replaced by the new minister, Barbara Hogan. This signaled the end of South Africa's so-called AIDS denialism saga, a dark history in our early democratic era. Tshabalala-Msimang, the former minister, died in 2009. And now to Rauby's Pointless Braai quiz. What's the nickname of the English Premier League side which were this week crowned champions for the very first time in 22 years? The Gunners. Well done, Arsenal. Jubilant scenes in Emirates Stadium as their closest challengers, Man City, were held to a draw in a separate game with Bournemouth just this week. Meanwhile, at the bottom of the table, Arsenal's North London rivals, my team, Tottenham Hotspur, is now facing the very real prospect of relegation to the lower tier championship for next year's season. Last night's loss to Chelsea 2-1, which I watched with fellow solemn supporters, means ultimately that Spurs need to win their outstanding game against Everton this weekend to keep their EPL hopes alive. West Ham United, meanwhile, will be hoping for a win in their outstanding game against Leeds, and that Spurs loses in order for West Ham to remain in the English Premier League. Both games are set down for Sunday. Come on, you Spurs. You'd have noticed by now that the lead is no longer coming out Monday to Thursday. Now it's just twice a week, Mondays and Wednesdays. This is for the time being as I transition to our brand new show, News 24's Unread, which is now coming out on Saturday mornings. It's a 10-minute roundup. Skip the scroll, get the story of the week's top events, all in one place, video first, on News 24's YouTube page. That's News 24's Unread with yours truly. That show will be coming out more frequently in future, so look out for that. Until then, my name's Graeme, and so long as there's trusted news first, we'll have the lead.